Okay, so in this question, we're dividing in base 2. There's the question. There's already the answer. These can be a little tricky. So the first thing is you got to turn it around. Like if you had 10 divided by 2, that's the same as 2 goes into 10, right? You got to switch the order when you change it into long division with that kind of symbol. So this will go on the left. So 1, 1, 1 into this number, which is 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0. I'll write this down carefully. 1, 0. So 100 and 110 and 1, 0. Right. Okay. Now, the trick here is to keep things lined up. Let me space these out a little bit better too. 1, 1, 1. Okay. Is to keep things lined up. So I'm going to draw in lines. This'll help you. I'd encourage you to do this because the main problem people have is they just get off in their lines. And then everything is messed up. Go all the way to the bottom if I can. Oops, I'm messing that up pretty badly. All right. So keep things lined up. Here we go. All right. So 111, does it go into 100? Yeah, no, right? 111 doesn't go into 100. So you got to go one more digit, goes into 1001. So when I put the 1 up here, it's going to go right there because always goes over the last digit of the number you're going into. I'm going into 1001. I'm not going into 100. 111 doesn't go into 100. I have to go all the way to 1001. So the 1 goes right over the last digit of the 1001. That's really important. All right. And then 1 times 111, well, that's 111. And then what do we do? We're going to subtract. Okay, so when you subtract, what do you get? 1 minus 1 is 0. 0, this next spot, 0, take away 1. You can't take 1 from 0. So you got to borrow. You go here, and that's your broke friend. You can't borrow from your broke friend. So go on up the line. Oh, you can borrow from him. So borrow from him. That puts him 0. And that brings 2 here, right? Because we're in base 2. So whenever you're in base 2, you borrow or carry 2. That's the whole point of the base. The base is the amount you borrow or carry. So I borrowed from him and brought 2 here. Now I can borrow from this 2, make it 1, and bring 2 here. Okay, now 2 minus 1 is 1. What am I doing there? 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0, and then there's just 0 here. So I'm not going to fill in these 2 zeros. They're just 0. It's just 1 minus 1 and then just 0. So 10 is all I've got. All right. Bring down your next digit. 1. Okay. So now, does 111 go into 101? No, 111 doesn't go into 101. So careful, don't just race on. You got to say 0 times, right? And that's over the last digit of the number you're trying to go into. 111 is trying to go into 101. It goes in there, doesn't go in there one time, it goes in there 0 times. So I put a 0. That's the part a lot of people get confused about. 0 times over the last digit of the number I'm trying to go into. And then you bring down another digit, 0. Now, 111 goes into 1010 one time. Now, how do I know it's 1? Well, it's either 1 or 0. That's nice with base 2. It's not 0, so it goes in once. So now 1 times 111 is 111. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to subtract. All right, here we go. So, again, you can't take 1 from 0. So you got to borrow from this guy, make it 0, bring what? 2. You're always borrowing 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. Now, you can't take 1 from 0. So you borrow, you go here, and that's your broke friend. You can't borrow from him. You got to go to another friend. So borrow from this guy, make him 0, bring what to him? Bring 2 at first. But now he's got 2, because that's always what we borrow in base 2. We always borrow 2. Now we can borrow from him, make him 1, bring this guy 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. The rest are 0. 1 minus 1 is 0, and this is just 0. I'm not going to fill those in. All right, we good so far. Just got to be careful on the lineup. Next one, bring down the next one. How many times is 111 going to 111? Well, that's a no-brainer. That's one time 111. You know what we do? We subtract. And that's easy. That's 0, 0, 0 is a 0. You might think, okay, we're done. There's the answer. Well, careful, careful. You got to bring down the last 0. Yeah, okay, but it's just 0. Yeah, but careful. 111, how many times is it going to 0? Or if you want a whole bunch of zeros, whatever, it's still just 0. How many times is 111 going to 0? Well, never. Yeah, right. But you got to write it 0 times. It's really important. You do that last spot. Remember, that's why the lineup is so important here. You got to go into that last number, even though you go in 0 times. You say, well, yeah, but 111 doesn't go into 0, right? So we say it goes in 0 times. We have to write it, just like we had to write this 0, right? Whenever a number doesn't go into something, it doesn't mean we skip it. We say 0 times. So you got to go all the way to the last spot, the last digit, bring down that 0. 111 goes into 0, 0 times. You got to write something over that last spot. And there's our answer, just like the answer key says. So there we go. Base 2 can be a bit tricky. Keep it all lined up and you'll be okay.